This is SneakerGearz. My name is Levi, and Happy New Year 2021. Really happy to be out of 2020. Well, guys, not having enough time to finish a lot of the shoes from 2020, forgive me. It's one of those, it was tough to do a best shoe of 2020 and narrow it down because there's just a lot of great shoes I wasn't able to put through a full test and even a partial test. So if you didn't see me do some of the reviews, it's not because I don't have a lot of these shoes. Just the first ones that come to mind. The Clyde Pro is one I really want to get on court. Finishing testing the Lebron 18, which was really promising. Doing a full review on the Jordan 35s, which I haven't been able to take on court at all. The Curry Flow, which I guess is the Curry 8, but it's no longer Under Armour, so the Curry 1 Flow. So there's quite a few shoes that I would love to get on court. Just got in the Harden Volume 5, but that's a 2021 shoe. Check out our Instagram feed if you guys want to see some of the shoes that we're going to be coming out with. So I'm doing a decades collection. The best shoes from the last 10 years, from 2010 to 2020. Now, I still have a shoe that I'm going to say is the best shoe of 2020. I have other reasons, so we'll get to that. But we're going to start with 2010. And if you guys see behind me, I kind of have a mess of shoes. Obviously, we're going to have about 10 pairs, but there's some honorable mentions, so we're really looking at maybe close to 20 pairs. So bear with me. Let's get through this. Hopefully, there won't be too much editing, and we'll look at some of the best basketball shoes in the last decade. If this is your first time joining the channel, thank you very much. Please consider subscribing. Guys, we are over 10,000 subscribers. I cannot thank you enough. I really appreciate you guys. And hopefully this channel helps you out. For us wide footers, guys with big feet, all of the world, whether you're professional, whether you're just starting to play and you're a young kid, men, women, boys, girls, really appreciate it. My goal is to really just help athletes all over the world. So guys, thank you for subscribing to the channel and for just considering yourself part of SneakerGearz. With that all being said, all of these shoes I'm going to mention are legit amazing shoes to hoop in today. In 2021, you can't go wrong. Now, obviously, we've gotten better shoes. We've improved. There's even a Pro-Tro of a couple of these, but they're all amazing. And there's a reason they're the shoes of the decade. So let's jump in to 2010. Believe it or not, it's been 11 years and only almost a year since the Mamba passed. The Kobe 6, 2010, shoe of the year, 100%. This is still considered the best Zoom Air Kobe. So be specific on that. There is a Pro-Tro of this, but honestly, guys, whether you're able to get an OG or a Pro-Tro, this thing is amazing. The way it fit was such an improvement over the 5 and even the 7. It was obviously kind of the quintessential low top hooping shoe that started with the Kobe 4 and was really honed down with this version. The Zoom Air just felt incredible in the heel, and that meta bag in the forefoot did such a great job of this being a low to the court, lightweight, but really comfortable shoe that just fit like a glove, that was more durable than the 4 or the 5 and way more comfortable than even the Kobe 7. The Kobe 6 is just an awesome shoe. And if you're able to get your hands on a pair for any colorway at obviously any reasonable price, these are worth it. For 2011, I have definitely what I consider the shoe of the year. I want to give an honorable mention. That's the Hyperdunk Elite. Specifically the Elite, with this being ridiculously lightweight, I feel like there's nothing in my hand. Now, if the white balance on this camera makes this look yellow, it's because, man, time has not aged well. I wish I had the black version of this. But this white portion that used to be as white as the midsole has now yellowed over the last 10 years. This thing had carbon fiber, which you actually can see right there on the edges. Carbon fiber shank, as far as carbon fiber in the heel cup, Zoom Air in the heel, and Zoom Air in the forefoot, not just one and the other. The original Hyperdunk only had Zoom Air in the heel, and I believe Lunar in the forefoot. So this is one of those one-to-one fit. I believe Chris from Wear Testers, obviously old school Nightwing or whatever it was called before Wear Testers. Man, help me out, guys. Kicks on Court. This was his shoe of the year for that year, if I remember. This thing is awesome. It's lightweight. It had Kevlar laces, carbon fiber. It had your your battle knit mesh like that. I even love the insole. Let me take it out here. Had the grip lining, and I'll do a little kind of close-up of that, where it had little knobs on it to make sure your socks didn't slip. This is awesome. This was one of the best Elite shoes to come out with. But I got to give shout out to LeBron's first championship, the Lebron 9, specifically also an Elite, the Lebron 9 Elite. This thing was actually a low top, which I love, but it was a full signature LeBron that was a low top that just happened to look like the high. Again, carbon fiber all over the shoe from this whole stat. This thing had air in the heel with that kind of 270 airbag style, Zoom Air in the forefoot, Kevlar laces. Like, this is one of the best Elites that they did, except for one more that's coming out. And I love this shoe because it was lighter than most LeBrons. I'm not going to do a weight and a scale. Maybe we can do a best LeBrons of all time. Guys, let me know if you want to see that. But this was one of the best shoes that I loved it because it had a little bit more cushion than the Hyperdunk. This fit my foot as a wide footer a little bit more comfortably with more support as a bigger guy. This was phenomenal. And honestly, if you can get your hands on a pair, the gold does start to chip on these. This pair is not too bad, but it's one of these are still awesome even by today's standards. The Lebron 9, specifically the Lebron 9 Elite. 2012. All right, so this is one that actually is a shoe that stretches almost 2.5 years. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is a shoe, the Mamba himself, and obviously he's going to have some of the best shoes ever. If I'm biased, I'm sorry, but I would love for you guys to contest me. Kobe 8, still one of the lightest basketball shoes ever made. This is a shoe that actually was extended its career life over 2 or 2.5 seasons. There's a Kobe 8 Elite. There's different versions because it was a Kobe 8 system, as it were the Kobe 8 Superhero. All had different drop-in midsoles. This didn't start the drop-in midsoles. That was the Kobe 7. But the upper on this was so much better. The fit, the support, the containment, the cushion. Now, I preferred a little bit more cushion like what we got in the Kobe 9 and Kobe 11. You can just throw in those midsoles and you still have that amazing herringbone traction and just a fantastic shoe. But if you didn't want something so close to the court, if you didn't want something that was more of a guard playing set, the Lebron 10 is phenomenal. Even by today's standard, the bounciness on this shoe is second to only the Lebron 15. I would argue the 16 is a bit better because it loses some of the bounciness and gives you a little bit more quickness and flexibility. This was not flexible. There we go. And I'm not weak. Like, I got some muzzle here. This thing was like playing on a piece of wood with springs under it. You just jumped. It feels incredible underfoot. The Elite version specifically that I have here, I do have some of the regular ones, does have, again, the carbon fiber, the thicker laces. This thing, if you're looking for cushion, you can't go wrong. If you find a pair of these, that outsole is really durable. And the Lebron 10 for just a max cushion, obviously completely separate than the Kobe 8 as far as what kind of player is going to enjoy these. But honestly, they are both, pardon the term, elite and absolutely the best shoes of 2012. All right, on to 2013 and 2014. Obviously, there's other shoes, and I've been reviewing shoes for a long time. I can break out whatever shoe you want to say was the best for each year. And let me know. I'd love to have a discussion. We can do something live. I would love to hear you guys' opinions. But for 2013, the best shoe was easily the Jordan 28. Now, all versions of this, the 28, the 28 SE, I have the bamboo one with kind of like the leather on the outside, are all phenomenal. The only negative, this one still has some air. I have 2 pairs of the 28s, and I believe I have 6. The air bubbles popped, and the air bubbles popped sitting in my collection, not even on court. Now, actually, I can go back and say one of my pairs did pop on court, and thankfully that was in 2013, where I was able to go and they replaced it at Nike Town in Chicago. I know a lot of hoopers were not as fortunate, and once they popped, it was kind of like, it sucked. Nike would give you credit, but you want the shoe. So I have multiple pairs. The bounciness on this is really only countered by one other pair, and that's going to be later on this list, where you still have the flexibility, you still have that spring forward feel, and that bounciness was crazy. This was something like we've never felt before. Obviously, you had the bounciness of the Lebron 10, but this gave it in a way that actually pushed you forward, moved with your foot, and was super lightweight. But 2014, Jordan Brand didn't let up. They gave us the 29 with that woven upper, just next level. Now, they stuck with that flight system, or whatever they called it at that point. I know they changed the name a few times, with the unlock zoom, but because of the popping of the airbags and being so bouncy, we got a much smaller air unit, and it wasn't as bouncy or forward propulsion. I really liked what they did in later generations. We'll get to those shoes soon. So it was a little bit more subdued, but it gave you more support. The fit was fantastic for almost anybody who wore it, and this was the lightest Jordan ever released up until, again, the most recent, actually. So, and I actually still think this is lighter than the newer one, but we'll get to that in the next couple years. But in 2014, for those 2 years, Jordan Brand in their elite performers, yeah, they charged a lot of money. This was $250. This was $225. And honestly, no one could touch them. Like Adidas, Under Armour, it didn't matter what you had at the time. These were the best hooping shoes. And even today, today's standards, they need a Pro or Retro these, because these are on another level of performance on both of these. 2015. All right, this is the year of arguably the best basketball shoe ever. Maybe that's hyperbole, but the Kobe 9, y'all. Now, for me personally, I like the Kobe 9 low. I do got a couple highs that I'm looking at right here with the Masterpiece, with another couple of the black and white ones, the Black History Month. So the 9s are unbelievable. I have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs in my collection, maybe 8. The Kobe 9s are ones that fit my foot personally amazing, but I think a lot of hoopers felt that way, where you got a shoe that just fit your foot. It was the first shoe with Flyknit. It was a shoe with traction that is unbelievable by today's standards. And in 2021, we do have the PG5 coming out that looks to be copying this traction. Props to the PG if they can actually copy that. It was traction that was as good as even the Jordan 28, potentially even better. And the 28 was phenomenal, but this lasted a little bit longer. It was more durable. You had more support. And up until this year, there was no other comparable shoe. Finally, 6 years later, we do have shoes from other companies finally giving us something that is close to this, where you have a close to the court, well cushioned, but incredibly supportive shoe. The Kobe 9 is next level. If you can get a pair, jump on it. Obviously, these things are going up in price. I will not be selling mine and trying to make money. This is, as a Mamba fan, as a collector, I appreciate that I have these, and I feel terrible for those who don't have any Kobe's. They're trying to get a pair, and a lot of the resellers are just taking advantage of that fact. But I do want to give an honorable mention for underdog company, and I guess I kind of cheated in the name there, for a player who Nike didn't even know his name when they gave him his pitch deck to stay with them. The Curry won. Steph Curry went to Under Armour, and they gave him an all-new cushion setup with charge cushioning, herringbone traction, where you can't really go wrong, a anafoam upper that just molded to your foot. This shoe was actually incredible. I think I have 3 pairs of these. No, I have 4 pairs. I got one with the leather upper. And this was another very guard-based shoe, where it's a lot of court feel, but you still have some cushion. You still had plenty of support, especially this was with Steph Curry coming off a lot of his ankle injuries. And this was still one of the best Currys of all time. I think surpassed only by, again, this year, the Curry 8. So just to give you guys an idea, obviously the Kobe 9 is the better shoe. Okay, I'm not going to argue that. I definitely wanted to give Under Armour and Curry one a shout out. All right, we're halfway through. We're coming up on 2016. If you've watched this far, thank you guys. Please consider subscribing. Give this video a thumbs up and put something down in the comments. I definitely want to hear your thoughts, and consider subscribing and following us on Instagram and Facebook. Let's jump back right into 2016. And don't hate me. You know this is the best shoe of 2016. The Kobe 11. Yes, it's a Kobe, but the Kobe 11, especially even the Elite, is probably the best cushion Kobe to ever come out, with that huge Zoom Air stack in the heel. We'll pull it out here with a flexible 4-foot unit of lunar. Now, like all lunar, like all midsoles, eventually that midsole does give out. But 2021, I'll have a video on this, guys. What can we use inside of our old Kobe's? You know, what can give us a better cushion setup? Ooh, does that say Boost? Yeah, y'all, the drop-in midsole and the hardened new Volume 5 does work with the Kobe 11. I'm still breaking it down which shoes it works on, which shoes it doesn't, and I still have to take these to the court to verify how they would actually move and break in. But just preliminary, the Kobe 11 will work with the new hardened Volume 5 Boost and Light Strike midsole. That being said, the solid traction version specifically, which is why I have this one in the non-elite version, still had really good traction, and the fit was even better than the Kobe 9 for me, just with less support. It sacrificed some of the support to get a better fit and to have a lighter shoe. But this, especially, this is the Tinker Hatfield with the kind of Jordan 3 kind of cross-compatible design. I absolutely loved this black cement kind of crossover. I have multiple pairs of the Kobe 11s. Every single time I put these on, these are quintessential Kobe's, where they're lightweight, close to the ground, plenty of cushion. You can tell this is later on in his years, and this is something that obviously as you get older, or the bigger you are, you appreciate that cushion that much more. So the fact that you can use this with a LeBron 11 cushion, you can use this with an Adidas cushioning, is crazy. But in 2016, yeah, we have the Kobe 11. This is the best one, and I get it. But I definitely want to give a shout out to 3 Stripes. The 2016 Adidas lineup was bonkers. The D Rose 7, I think, is still the absolute best Adidas shoe for Derrick Rose ever released. The traction is some of the best ever, period. Like this thing is nuts. The Boost is super cushion. This was off of him coming off multiple injuries and surgery, so it has ridiculous levels of support. This specific version was with Sneakers and Stuff, a collaboration, so this had the knit upper, which a lot of them didn't, with the prime knit. So you have prime knit, luxury suede on this specific pair, and this is back when Adidas, I think even now, shoe to shoe, colorway to colorway, they really change the materials. So depending on which colorway you get, the traction and the materials make a huge difference on if that shoe is a great performer. But specifically D Rose and most of the Adidas lineup was still just amazing. Now the only negative you're going to find on this shoe, and actually the shoe for next year, 2017, is the weight. Compared to shoes now in 2021, this is a heavy shoe. Everything else, though, it's elite on every level. 2017, shoe of the year. We're sticking with Adidas. Forgive me, I couldn't find it. I know I have the low top somewhere. This is the 2016, but it was the crazy explosive. This was the first generation. The 2017 was a little bit lighter actually had an upper that gave you even more support. The cushion is crazy. That explosive with all that boost really just felt like an ultra boost for basketball. Traction was straight out of something like we got from the Derrick Rose, so absolutely elite. Not as durable as the D Rose, so this is something that still was fraying. I have a couple pairs. Again, this is the 2016 one. Couldn't find the 17, but the crazy explosive, I don't know why Adidas didn't continue with that team line because it was amazing. They transferred to I think the Marquee, and they had a couple of the versions. And I think the Pro Boost, which is out now, is going to be kind of the successor to what this was. And although that's a really good shoe, the amount of boost you got on this and the level of comfort as a max cushion shoe, that as a team shoe, was just unreal. And especially in 2017, the fact you're able to get this in a low, a mid, a high with different materials just made it that much of a great shoe for any kind of hooper in any position. 2018. All right, so only a couple years ago, guys, 3 years. My shoe of the year that I remember vividly because it's still a shockingly good shoe till today. The Why Not 1 or 0.1. Specifically the Chaos version for me if you have wide feet, but you can do the regular versions, whether it's a low or the mid. And this has one of the most support you will have on any basketball shoe, literally ever. This is top 5, top 3, maybe number 1, where you have unbelievable amounts of stability from that flat, super wide base, incredibly wide outrigger coming out, giant outrigger as far as I shouldn't say outrigger, I wouldn't say outraged heel cup. This thing is literally your whole hand just gripping on you. Traction was still good. This specific colorway was not as good as some of my other colorways. It had the solid traction, but still nothing I never had an issue with. And this had full length zoom. Still hard to get, and full length zoom is usually reserved for kind of your elite shoes, a la your Lebron 18 for $200. This was my shoe of the year, with a close, very close second being the Harden 3. This gave us full length boost, but it was the first time, at least for me, that it was just right. It wasn't super bouncy, but it wasn't just court feel. It was just like a firm boost setup, like on some of the running shoes. But you have awesome court feel with amazing impact protection in a low top that I prefer. A fit that was generally wide foot friendly with this awesome like circular knit upper. And again, depending on the colorway, different upper materials were taking place, but this just felt like such a premium shoe. I couldn't knock anybody, and I couldn't really give it a 1 or 2. I think I like this one better, but this was right up there with it. But if you didn't want a guard shoe, if you didn't want a shoe that was perfectly balanced for everybody, the shoe with the best cushion almost ever has been and still is the Lebron 16. Now, this is not as balanced as those shoes. There's plenty you can say that's wrong with this shoe, from heel slippage for some people's feet to having traction that was better than the support, which would cause pain because the traction would grip, your foot would still push into it, and it didn't quite have the containment for your foot. So it would kind of hurt, which is, I guess, not the shoe's fault, but the engineers need to take that into play. But you have a cushioning that is flexible, yet bouncy, yet still quick. The Lebron 16 is still unbelievably elite. I think maybe the Lebron 18 has passed it. Haven't tested it fully yet. Don't really want to say that just yet. Maybe it is, but if you can get a 16 on the cheap, they're still worth it. All right, 2019, we are almost wrapping it up. I actually never did a shoe of the year for last year, guys. Didn't put out a full video, so I apologize. So if you're watching this now, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following. And again, let me know what you guys think. It was really tough to give a shoe of the year specific to one shoe because I think we had 4 incredible performers. But my shoe of the year, I think just for most people, which I mean most players are going to enjoy this because it does everything so well, is the Why Not 2. The Why Not 2 had unbelievable support, even if it was a slight step down from the 1. Is probably the bounciest shoe you're going to find or get, but still super cushioned. You got that push-off effect, but not quite as aggressive as the other shoe we have here. And it was just amazing because the traction also backed it up. This was some of the best traction all year Now I got a couple other shoes here. I'm gonna go over them and I'll let you know why this one I think is better for most people, not for everybody. The traction on this was absolutely best shoe of the year, with the PG3 right there with it, but not being nearly as good in almost every other level, but the traction was just the same. The New Balance Omnis had almost the same level of traction. Traction was unbelievable, but this was more of your kind of Kobe style, low to the court feel, but still absorbed impact. Really a lot of support on this for what it was, as far as having a flat, wide base. You can kind of see the outrigger sticking out here. And I love the Omnis overall, as far as the materials, the construction, the fact we were able to get a wide fit. This just worked for so many people for a court feel. Now, if you wanted just a max cushion period, your Jordan 34 is the bounciest shoe ever. But again, just like the Jordan 28, 29, it's not as durable as what we got in the Why Not 2. Didn't have as much support as the Why Not 2. And the traction wasn't as good as the Why Not 2. But it was much lighter and it was much bouncier, with that forward propulsion being the best of all time, even the 28. And even having more forward propulsion on the 34 than the Why Not 2, with this being a little bit more bouncy, this more like trampolining you up. Like, this feels like you're increasing your vert just by wearing it. Not for everybody, but still absolutely elite. Now, the only other shoe I would liken this to that maybe should be shoe of the year, let me reach over and grab it, is your KD12. This gave us the first full-length zoom strobel. We had full-length zoom on the Why Not 0.1. The cushion on this, the abundant levels of support for a KD line were really nice. Not to this level, but the traction was just okay, especially as you used it as it got older, depending on the court conditions. It was okay. It did a good job, but it wasn't the best. Now, it was lighter weight. The cushion was so smooth, that full-length zoom, double stacked heel. But honestly, more support, better traction, cushion that was still as phenomenal, if maybe not as smooth, and you're just paying a little bit of penalty in the weight. I think this was still just the best overall shoe, even though we had some amazing shoes for last year. The Why Not 2 for 2019. Finally, 2020. My shelves are cleared up. I have a pile of shoes in front of me. A lot of shoes I was not able to test last year. The Jordan 35, which I was never able to put through the paces. The Lebron 18, the Clyde Pro. There's probably a lot I'm forgetting. I didn't go down the list just because there's so many I didn't use. It's unfair to say what is a shoe of 2020, but I'm gonna do it anyway. The honorable mention is gonna be the KD13. KD13 is giving you almost as much cushion as the LeBron 18 for less than half the price, with still a ton of support, if maybe not as much, and still probably better traction, even though I didn't play in the 18 just yet. I don't want to say that. But the traction on this and the overall cushion, LeBron 18, the KD13 is phenomenal. I think a majority of players, no matter what your position, will be able to put this shoe on and just be able to ball out and have a shoe that you can really use and execute whatever you want to do on court, where you have the traction, your support, you have a great fit overall, wider than most KDs, and a cushioning system with that full-length zoom and double stacked in the forefoot that really just makes it incredible. I've talked about this shoe in multiple videos. I'll put links above, but this is probably my shoe of the year, even with me not testing everything out. And I know even the Curry Flow I wanted to test out, but I just got to give it to this. Without testing those, this is not definitive, but the KD13 is only bested by, honestly, the Kobe 5. And the Kobe 5 is going to be the shoe of the year. I think everyone knows why. This was a proper Protro like the Kobe 1, where this was a performance retro that looks like the retro. Gave us the lightweight feel, low to the core, the fit we remembered, but with that amazing upgraded cushion, with that Zoom Turbo forefoot, with still upgraded traction where it's a little bit thicker than the original, carbon fiber shank. That cushion on the heel just feels super plush. I don't care who you are, what position you play, you can wear a Kobe 5 and really enjoy it. Even if you weren't a Kobe guy, you're not a low top guy. This is amazing. Yes, some of those other shoes may be better in certain areas, but with Mom believing us, this is the shoe of the year for 2020, guys. Thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed that video, please consider subscribing, giving it a thumbs up. As always, we're gonna come at you more videos later this month. Guys, it's been a tough few months personally with some family members passing with COVID, but I really appreciate you guys and I wanted to put in the effort to help you guys out, whereas we get the vaccine worldwide and as courts open up, you can get the right shoes to actually get back on court and enjoy the game that we love. Really appreciate you guys. This is Levi SneakerGearz and I'll come at you later.